Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and last week was filled with iOS, iPad, Mac, and Watch updates, and this week we expect some new betas as well. We'll talk about that as well as upcoming Apple Watch Ultra, as we expect Apple Watch Ultra 2 now, new iMacs, and more. This is your news update for the week of June 26th, 2023. Apple Card has yet to launch in India, but that could change soon, according to a finance website, Money Control. The report states that Tim Cook met with many bank CEOs in India about getting Apple Card running in India. I know many of you have asked me why we don't have it yet, and it's a super easy and convenient way if you just want to pay with your phone and use your card on your phone, or its own Apple Card where you get money back for buying Apple products and more. So hopefully we'll see more about that in the future. Apple rolled out emergency SOS via satellite with iPhone 14 models. It helped rescue a hiker this past week who'd broken her leg due to a trail collapsing underneath her. She apparently wasn't aware of how the feature actually worked, but was able to just follow the prompts and call for help. Had she not had this, it could have taken much longer to rescue her. So this is great to see it's working as intended, and hopefully we see it roll out in more places around the world, and it just helps rescue more people that are in need if this is needed. It's just great to have this as a standby in places of no cell signal. Now, Apple updated its self-service repair program this past week, adding parts for iPhone 14 and M2 Max. So you'll see here on Apple's self-service repair website, you can scroll down and the iPhone 14 models are there now. So if you wanted to repair your battery yourself, you could do that. Scroll down, you'll see the cost and the different tools needed here. So $100.99 to repair the battery. So that's available now for different models. Like I said, M2-based MacBook Air and MacBook Pro laptops, as well as iPhone 14 models. And Apple is getting better at allowing us to repair devices, but a new EU law may force Apple to make iPhones with easily replaceable batteries. So instead of having to pry open either the back or front, depending on iPhones and different phones, it would have to make it easier to get into your phone and then swap that battery out. What that means specifically for Apple is hard to say, as it doesn't seem to be in full effect yet, but let me know what you think about people making laws forcing different changes such as that and USB-C in the upcoming iPhone 15s. Now, if you want to protect your phone, that's where today's sponsor comes in, CaseQ. This is the CaseQ Magic Stand case. It comes in clear, space black, and there are new clear purple and clear black cases too. It's a protective case that adds grip and looks great, and it also has raised bezels around the screen and camera, but also has a hidden stand built in. The stand allows for a 40 to 120 degree angle and has a magnet in the ring of the stand that supports MagSafe accessories and charging. I'll link the case in the description along with a discount code so you can try it out. Also be sure to check out their website for other types of cases as well. Not just the Magic Stand case, but they have a few others there. Now, the App Store is something many of us use every day to try out new apps, and we've been seeing advertisements for new apps here as well. It's something different developers can push to sort of promote their application. However, the way this is done is changing in the near future. According to Apple on their website, you can see an example of it here. They're going to change the format to allow you to see the whole ad without scrolling and showing the app icon, name, and subtitle all at once. So it seems to be less intrusive, but may also help promote it since it gives more information. Let me know what you think about seeing these ads here as well. Now, Apple has updated podcasts this past week, and it's updated for everyone. It doesn't matter what version you're on, as long as you're on one of the more recent iOS updates. And if you go in here and go into search, they've updated search with different categories, and it just works a little bit better. For example, we have mental health, we also have relationships, self-improvement, and more. So you'll see here self-improvement and mental health. You go in there, then you can see the top shows, your essentials, top episodes, and more. So it's great they've made new subcategories, and you'll see explore more categories. So when you're searching for something, it should show more of what you're looking for. If we search for Apple, you can see the results here. And you'll see, we'll give it a second to load. There we go. And you'll see Apple events and then all of the different top podcasts here. So you have shows, episodes, channels, and more. So it's great to see they're updating this, making it a little bit better. I've been using Overcast lately, but I often find myself going back and forth. Let me know which podcast app you use. I asked this before, and many people seem to use Podomatic or use Overcast instead of Apple's own podcast app. But let me know which one you prefer in the comments below. If you don't use Apple Music, but rather you use Spotify, and you also want to use it on your desktop, there's an all-new design with the desktop app. They've updated the Your Library and now Playing view, and according to Bloomberg, Spotify will be launching a new hi-fi option very soon. So they continue to refine the app. It seems to be definitely a little bit better at finding music suggestions that you'll like more than what Apple Music offers currently. So that's one thing I really like about it. I tend to go back and forth as it has great suggestions of things you may like. Now, Chrome on iOS is getting some updates as well. If you use Chrome, they've actually updated it to allow for better search. You can see Google actually posted about this recently, where you can see an address on the map. You can easily create calendar events, get better translations, and also search with your camera with Google Lens. So these are all available, and it's updated now. So this is something that's great that we've wanted for a long time. You could typically use some of these things in the Google app, but now they've brought it directly into Chrome. We've been waiting for Apple Vision Pro for some time. Apple's new headset is expected to launch in 2024 and was announced at WWDC 2023. We've seen visionOS. I did a separate overview video this past weekend, and recent findings by Steve Mosher have shown even more features that we didn't expect. When Apple plans to launch this, it looks like it will have a visual search feature that will help identify objects. You could also translate text or copy printed text, and maybe even more. There's also a travel mode for planes when you're moving, and maybe some other modes we're not expecting. As upcoming betas are actually released, of course, we'll see if there's more features that Apple hasn't announced. Let me know what you would like from Vision Pro and if you plan to buy one in the comments below. Now, there's some deals to talk about, just a couple this week, and with the Amazon Prime Day, we're seeing a couple deals, and Apple is selling Apple Watch Series 8 at a discounted price on Amazon on their Apple Web Store, and AirPods Pro 2 are down to $199. So I'll link those in the description along with any other deals I find, and be sure to check them out if you're looking for either of these. We don't expect an update to the AirPods Pro 2 for a little while. We'll talk about that a little later. Now, iOS 17 will bring a few different things that I didn't mention in other videos we're finding out about. Communication safety is coming to the rest of the world. We've had it in the United States for some time, and it's an on-device way to sort of block explicit images, and it does it on device and then just says, do you want to see this? Or maybe tell an adult if you're a child. This can be enabled or disabled in your settings under screen time, and there's a communication safety option. You'll see it says check for sensitive photos, and then you have view child safety resources, and then of course you can improve it if it's enabled. So if you turn this on, you don't have to turn it on, but it seems to be enabled by default. You could always turn it off. But again, it will blur out different photos that may be sent over messages or that are found in your photos and other places as well. So if you want to have that turned on, just leave it on. Otherwise, you could disable it. Now, the weather app appears to have some different features as well we didn't expect. It appears to track the moon. And now, of course, it's daytime when I'm recording this, but you can see from a photo here that it appears to track the moon in real time as far as the weather now. So that's always a nice little update and a nice little touch in the weather app. Apple's also made it easier to scan QR codes in iOS 17. So if we bring over the iPad Pro here, and we'll just set it down right here, go into Safari. I have a QR code. Let's just bring the photo or the camera over that, and you'll see it brings up apple.com. Tap on it and it immediately opens the link. So it makes it much easier just to jump right into it, and they've updated it to work pretty well and very easily. Before, sometimes you had to go in and maybe open it separately or kind of tap on it a couple times or different symbols that are there. Now it's just an easy to click link. Now, iOS 17 Beta 3 is probably a week away at this point. We expect these usually every couple of weeks with early betas, so I would expect it probably sometime next week, and what that means is we'll probably have the public beta then as well. Maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, where we'll have the public beta released in July, as Apple has said, and it should be stable enough then to use on your main device. So usually when the public beta comes out, it's just stable enough and seems to be working well. However, Beta 2 seems to be very stable with the exception of battery life overall. So it's overall pretty good. I think that at this point, Apple's really focusing on stability more than we realized, and it should be much better than iOS 16. It almost seems like it is right now. Also, we expect iOS 16.6 betas this week, so as soon as tomorrow or Wednesday, I would expect iOS 16.6 beta 4 or release candidate, then maybe a final release of that in a few weeks. So that should bring some new features, although it's been pretty sparse is what to expect with iOS 16.6, so we'll have to see what that has to offer. As far as rumors and leaks this week, we have more about the A17 Bionic within the iPhone 15, iPhone SE, Apple Watch Ultra, Mac, and iPad. We'll start with the A17 Bionic. And Apple's upcoming A17 Bionic is said to be switching to a 3nm process, and eventually to a less expensive process later on. While there's many benefits to even smaller chips, such as power consumption and thermals, it can cost a lot to make. So it makes sense that Apple could be working to get the cost down as well. However, the odd thing is this change is expected to take place after the 15 Pro launches, halfway between maybe the 15 and 16. This is according to someone on Weibo who actually predicted that USB-C cables for iPhone 15 would have a chipset in them. So this seems to be a fairly credible source, as we've seen more and more patents for those things. So they could switch the chipset. We've seen this before where they've updated them, of course, but we've never seen a major process switch. But if they can get the cost down, I'm sure they'll actually do that if it offers the same sort of processing power. Now, iPhone 15 production should be underway soon if it's not already, so we can get millions and millions of iPhones ready before the launch in September. We're expecting a few things, and we're seeing even more about the iPhone 15 Pro models, that they'll definitely have titanium instead of stainless steel. These are just 15 models so for case makers I showed in different videos, and they're expected to have a few different things I wanted to talk about. USB-C, of course, we've talked about that before, titanium, but Dynamic Island should be on all models, not just the Pro models this year. So Apple's not getting rid of the notch, they're going to keep the Dynamic Island. Pro models are also said to be gaining a periscope zoom lens, so we'll have a similar layout here that we have with the 14 Pro Max, but one of these will be a better telephoto zoom lens. Again, we'll have that A17 Bionic as well. The design is said to be a little bit different, with the edges being rounded instead of squared off, so it's sort of an easier phone to hold. It's not quite as sharp, and it's really great compared to the current one. Even though we have this, which is easy to hold because of the flat edges, it's still a bit sharp, so it fixes that problem. But the overall design should be very similar. Now, iPhone SE 4 is something many people have been looking forward to, and many people have said it will look like the iPhone XR. However, the current iPhone SE is going to live on another year, it seems, as it could be scrapped for 2024. It could be due to Apple's upcoming modem that's built in that they're working on instead of using Qualcomm or something else. But it looks like iPhone SE 4 is not going to be in 2024. It could be later on. Now, many people have been asking me almost every week, when is Apple Watch Ultra 2 coming out? Is it coming out this September or next year? And many had been thinking Apple would adopt a 2-year cycle on the Apple Watch Ultra. But this is changing according to the latest rumors. While we expected an Apple Watch Series 9, it seems Apple will also launch an Apple Watch Ultra this fall, according to Mark Gurman. What it will entail, what will be different, maybe a black casing instead of titanium, we don't really know, but it seems that they're working on it, and we can expect that. We haven't seen an update to the 24-inch iMac, even with the new Apple Silicon. Apple is apparently working on that, readying it for later this year, but they're also planning a new 30-inch iMac model that maybe would replace the iMac Pro. That would come later, though. That's in the early stage of development, according to Mark Gurman. So at least they're still working on a larger iMac. I know from personal experience, people that want a larger iMac and were holding off, they're just not available. So they instead bought a Studio display and a Mac Mini. So I think a larger iMac makes sense. Also in recent news from Mark Gurman, iPads are set to get an update, but not this year. iPad Air and iPads Pro are set to get updates in 2024. Maybe with that new OLED screen, maybe not, but we shouldn't see new ones this year, according to Mark Gurman. So that's good. If you just bought an M2 version, you can expect at least a little while out of that before you would want to upgrade. Although this is more than enough power for an iPad Pro, it would be nice to have maybe some new features or maybe some major changes with an OLED display. Now, we're also expecting AirPods Pro 3 in 2025, so it seems like we're going to have a whole other year, so over a year and a half at this point, of life for AirPods Pro 2. So if you were thinking of picking these up, it seems like we won't have 3 for quite some time. That, of course, could change, but according to Mark Gurman, that's what we can expect. And so that's everything with the news this week. Lots of different things, lots of upcoming products I'm looking forward to. Let me know what you're looking most forward to in the coming months from Apple, and of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.